Hi, I'm Dr. Bob with Carolina Value Pet Care. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about fleas and ticks in cats. And today I have my lovely assistant Becky, who's going to be asking questions specifically about fleas and ticks in cats, so you can be better educated about how you can take care of those situations if you see them in your kitty. So Becky?
Dr. Bob, what are fleas and ticks?
Fleas and ticks are what we call external parasites, meaning they live on the outside of your cat or your dog for that matter, or even with people as well. But essentially they are actually insects or bugs that live on the outside of your pets.
How do fleas and ticks impact the health and well-being of my cat?
Sadly, with fleas and ticks, they can be actually quite detrimental to the health of dogs and cats in general. But speaking specifically of cats, I'm more concerned about if we see fleas, for example, in kittens. Unfortunately, with heavy infestations, fleas are bloodsuckers, and they actually can cause what we call anemia or blood loss to the point where in severe situations they can even be potentially fatal in a kitten. Ticks, on the other hand, while we don't see as many issues with ticks on cats as we do in dogs, they also can be bloodsuckers, but more importantly, they can actually pass different diseases on to both cats and dogs.
How do cats get fleas and ticks?
Quite simply from going outside, primarily. They can get it from other pets that they're in close contact or communication with, but primarily they're going to be getting them outside. Think about it. When we deal with any kind of insect that with our mosquitoes or wasp or whatever, any type of insect that we're going to encounter is actually going to originate from outside. So if a cat goes outside, again, that puts them at risk of getting exposed and potentially picking up fleas and or ticks. But again, you can have cats or other household pets, dogs included, who can actually bring pets into the house. And of course, then that could potentially put your cat at risk as well.
Why is prevention of fleas and ticks so important?
Mainly because of some of the issues that we see with cats and with fleas and ticks in cats and in dogs as well. So let's talk about a couple of things that we can see in cats. As we mentioned, with kittens, flea infestations can be significant and serious enough to potentially be fatal, just because they can suck so much of the blood out of a kitten and make them anemic. With fleas also, primarily with adult cats, they can get what we call tapeworms from actually ingesting a flea. Now, cats have a tendency to do a lot of grooming. That's normal, but they do have fleas on them and they do want to suck blood. Again, that's what the fleas are there for. In order to reproduce, they need to suck the blood from a mammal. But again, they can actually, a cat will ingest the flea and consequently can get tapeworms. So those are the big concerns that we see with fleas and ticks.
How can a veterinarian help with flea and tick prevention?
The great question. So thank goodness we've got so many outstanding products nowadays. They're so easy to get rid of. Now we have 3 different products that we routinely recommend for cats. The two are by prescription only. One is called Bravecto Plus, which is a topical product that lasts for 2 months. We also have a product called Revolution Plus, which is also, again, topical product just on the back of the neck. It lasts for 1 month. Now, those 2 products actually do more than just fleas and ticks. They also protect against heartworm disease. They also treat and prevent 2 types of intestinal worms, and they also treat ear mites. As far as a non-prescription product, we do have a product called Cheristin. So if we've never seen your cat before, we can provide the Cheristin, which again is a 6-week topical product for cats.
What are some signs and symptoms of a flea and tick infestation in your cat?
Yeah, really good question, because a lot of people, especially with cats, cats do have a grooming nature, grooming habit, grooming ritual about them. So a lot of times, if people are looking for fleas on their cats, they're not going to find them. Quite simply because cats are pretty good about actually ingesting the fleas that get on them. And not to mention, of course, the thicker the coat of hair, the harder it's going to be able to actually find or detect the fleas. Fleas typically, not necessarily, but typically are going to spend most of the time in the back half of the body. We're going to look above the tail. We're going to look on the belly. We're going to look on the back legs. That's usually where we'll find them. Although, depending on the infestation, yes, we can find them, around the head, the neck, and of course, those places are kind of out of reach for a cat to be able to groom themselves. So that can be sort of a habitat for fleas to hang out. Ticks, on the other hand, they can, while we can see many fleas on a cat or dog for that matter, ticks usually are not going to be in the great abundance that we're going to see as with fleas. If we get a tick, usually, or several ticks, usually they're going to be up around the head, the neck. Again, same thing as with fleas. Cats are really good about removing parasites from themselves just from natural grooming. But when we do see ticks, we never expect to see but just a very few, whereas fleas, we can expect to see quite a few.
What do fleas and ticks look like?
Good question. Yeah, they're kind of scary looking critters, whatever. So here's what the fleas look like. Now, obviously, that's not the size of a flea. Fleas are actually quite small, needless to say. So when we see a flea, they're dark brown when you're actually looking at them on a dog or a cat. And gosh, maybe not quite the size of a pinhead, or maybe about that size would probably be the best way to describe a flea. They do have the ability to jump, although typically when they're actually on the body of the dog or the cat, they will just be kind of scrambling around, but they are quite fast. Ticks, on the other hand, look like this. Now, many of y'all have actually seen ticks, because anybody who's spent time in the woods or been hiking, or as kids, we go on a hike or go out and play into the background or down to the creek. We actually like to check our kids to make sure that they're not bringing any ticks, back with them. But again, you can see they're more round. They don't jump for one thing, and they're actually quite slow. I say slow. They're slow relative to fleas to move, but they can crawl quite quickly. But again, both the fleas and the ticks are little multi-legged little creatures. They are also can be very small. In certain stages, they can actually be about the size of a single little poppy seed. As they get bigger, then yes, they're definitely going to be bigger than a pinhead. And when they start sucking blood, they can actually get to be, about the size of maybe even a blueberry, which is pretty disgusting, needless to say. And those are the females that are sucking the blood in order to reproduce. So again, most of y'all have seen ticks, but if you haven't seen a flea, yeah, they are pretty fast. They are dark brown, and again, much more common, much more likely you would see a flea on a cat than you would a tick.
What are some possible diseases that can be transmitted by fleas and ticks?
Yeah, the primary one we see in adult cats for fleas is going to be tapeworms. Tapeworms, they get those from ingesting the flea. They actually have to ingest the flea in order to not just from having fleas around them, but again, cats with their grooming nature and their grooming habits, if they get any fleas on them, they're likely going to ingest it, in which case they most likely get the fleas. Whereas we do see, and again, I'm going to throw in dogs here just a little bit, there are several different diseases, blood-related diseases that we see in dogs, but we're not quite as common that we're going to see those in cats. Ticks, same thing. Ticks in dogs, we do have several different diseases that can be an issue with the dogs, but that's typically not the case so much with cats. But again, the ticks can be bloodsuckers and certainly can cause problems for them.
Are over-the-counter collars, powders, and sprays effective flea and tick treatments for cats?
Oh gosh, man, I love this question because I'm so frustrated when I'm frustrated for anybody who goes out and buys something over the counter. Flea powders, flea sprays, flea collars, and things of that nature. I will admit there is one flea collar. It's called a Seresto. It's about a $50 to $65 collar that does have some potential benefit. However, over the past, say, 3 years or so, we've seen a lot of failures with it. People will bring in a pet with a Seresto collar, and unfortunately, we do see quite a few fleas on those pets. So, I'm just not a fan of the Seresto collars anymore, just because we do see a lot of failures with it. But please don't waste your money with any other type of flea collar. Don't waste your money with the flea powders. Don't waste your money with the flea shampoo. Flea sprays, yeah, they can work, but very, very, very short period of time. The other concern about flea sprays, virtually all of them have an alcohol base to them. And if your dog or cat has some sores on the skin, oh, believe me, the alcohol is going to really be, it's going to be really painful, and you can just imagine just kind of like they'll feel like they're on fire when you use a flea spray. So again, I can't recommend any of those things.
What should I do if I find fleas or ticks on my cat?
First, panic, and then call us, okay? Do that, all right? So honestly, they're so easy to get rid of nowadays, but it just takes the right product. Again, we mentioned for a few moments ago, we have a product called Brevecto Plus, which is a 2-month flea and tick medication. It is a topical liquid. We have another product called Revolution Plus, which is a once-a-month topical flea and tick medication. And then we also have a product called Cheristin. I will mention there is a product called Capstar, which is for dogs and cats alike. It's been around for years and years and years. Great product, but a lot of people don't realize it's only a 24-hour product. That's it. So a lot of people get frustrated because they keep on, they give a Capstar and they don't see any, great, don't see any fleas today. And next thing you know, the pets are infested. They say, well, this stuff's not working. Yeah, it is. It's just only going to work for about 24 hours. The other thing is got to treat the environment if at all possible. I mean, if you can treat the yard, if that's possible, great. If you can treat the house, that can also help speed up dramatically cleaning up the flea infestation. But yeah, please, please, please don't let your cat or dog suffer from fleas. We've got products that actually do work, and honestly, there's just don't waste your money or time going to the pet stores or the big box stores, because the products they have are just not going to work. All right, so that's all we have about cats and fleas and cats and ticks. Hope you've gotten some useful information out of the video, and we look forward to the next video. Thanks.